Hi, Leslie. Thanks for confirming that. I appreciate it. Actually, if everyone else could just confirm that they're able to hear me, you can use the emoticon or just write in the chat. That would be great. Okay, thanks, Sonia. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Pam, as well. Perfect, Jolita. Thank you. Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to allow a few more minutes for people to join us. So my name is Louisa Lambrex, and I am from Algonquin College, and I'm here to be the MC for the webinar today. I'm just here to basically introduce the speaker and also to give you a little bit of information about what these webinars are about and who the sponsors are of these sessions. Oh, I think Elena is there. So before I continue, I just want to make sure that our speaker is doing okay. So Elena, how are you doing? Are you able to say something? I just want to make sure that we can hear you. Okay. Okay, perfect. So Elena, I'll give you some time just to set up and work out your microphone. Okay, we have a good crowd today, so really happy to see that. Hi, John. Glad you can make it. So just for those of us who are continuing to come into the session. So again, my name is Louisa. I'm from Algonquin College, and I'm the Algonquin representative for the Provincial ETC, or Educational Technology Committee. And we're the committee that runs these webinars. A little bit more information about the ETC. So the Educational Technology Committee, we have representatives from each of the 24 colleges across the province. And we meet several times a year in order to collaborate, in order to think of ways that we can share best practices, our ideas, and to pool resources together. One thing that we do every year is a college within the ETC network will be a host to something that's called Advancing Learning. And that's our annual conference related to teaching with technology. And I have some more information about the next Advancing Learning Conference that's coming up in May. But another thing that we also do is we've been organizing these regular webinars. And so basically these webinars invite faculty like yourselves or educational technologists or in general educators from Ontario colleges to present on any topic that might be related to integrating technology or technology-enhanced teaching and learning. So I'm sharing my screen. And oh yes, and thanks, John. So John provided a link to the EdTech Ontario website. So if you want to check that out, it's just in our chat channel. And basically that website gives you a sense of what we do as a committee. Now the webinar, so we've been running this, I think, for maybe this is our second year, and we've had some decent success with it, I'm happy to report. And we have these webinars on a variety of topics. So today's topic, we have Elena Chudaeva, and she's going to be presenting on innovation, blended learning, and community of inquiry framework. So we really look forward to that presentation today. I also wanted to let you know that on March 2nd, we are offering a French session. So for any of those folks out there that might be French speaking, we have a session called Publi Postage on March 2nd, 11 to 12. So you can register for that on the EdTech Ontario website. Following that, we've got a PowerPoint as a design tool for learning, and it happens to be that I'm delivering that session. That one will be on March 11th and will run from 12 to 1 o'clock. So once again, if you're interested in registering for those sessions, then you can do that on the EdTech Ontario website. And again, that website is shared in our chat area. And once again, that's the link to our Education Technology Committee website. I also want to mention that anyone is eligible to be a facilitator of these sessions. So if you have an idea and you want to share something that you've developed some expertise in, or something that's worked well, or something that you're interested in, we have a facilitator sign up form. So just go to our website, once again, the edtechontario.ca website that's in the chat window, and there's a particular link for facilitators sign up. So we highly encourage that you sign up. It's very rewarding to give these sessions, and it's actually really quite easy, you know, when you get the hang of it. So you can attend by these sessions not only as a participant, but by being a facilitator. Okay, so I'm just going to check in with our presenter, Elena. I want to make sure that she's got her microphone situation worked out. So let me see here. All right. Okay, so Elena, I'm afraid we still can't hear you. Are you? Okay, so I see a microphone icon. So, okay, so it looks like you have your microphone turned on. But unfortunately, we can't hear you. Is it possible that you might be able to use a different computer, Elena? Would that be possible? Because I'm not sure. You've tried a few times, and unfortunately, yeah, not able to connect. Yeah, so sorry, Elena, we can't hear you, unfortunately. Yeah, thanks, Leslie. Thanks for sharing that, because yeah, I have noticed that some browsers work better than others. So Elena, maybe that's something that if you haven't tried, perhaps try using a different browser, and making sure that there are windows, there are pop-up windows that you need to click on in order to enable your microphone. So that could be another option as well. So perhaps, Elena, I would perhaps invite you to, well, first of all, Elena, did you try the My Settings? So in the bottom right corner, there's the cog icon. So click on that. And then there's an item for set up your camera and microphone. So try that. And if that doesn't work, then I think you'll have to try perhaps a different browser. What browser are you using right now? Chrome. Okay. I would say try using a different browser and see if the results are different, because I can see that your microphone's on, but we can't hear you, unfortunately. Okay, John, thanks for confirming that things are working using Chrome. I'm using Internet Edge right now. So Confederation College, so is the mic on? So I can see that the microphone icon is there. So that suggests to me that it is on. It's just not, but it's not picking up sound. Okay, Chrome has settings that allow or block use of microphone. So yes, to answer your question, configuration, yes. Her microphone was turned on. So my apologies, everyone. I'm not quite sure why we're having the audio issues here. All I can say is maybe the quickest option, Elena, is if you try, so I'm not sure what browsers you have on your computer. I'm just going to do a search to see if there's any troubleshooting information. Okay, I'm going to try to share this. Yeah, as soon as you come in, you're right, John, as soon as you come into the session, it should ask you. And yeah, but there's also, like I had mentioned before, the My Settings. So I've asked her to go to the My Settings as well. So maybe Elena, if you haven't done so already, go to the cog, click on the cog, which is My Settings. And then the top option, it should say audio video settings. And then there's an option that says set up your camera and microphone. So if you try going through that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, Elena, I see something different. Can you say something?
Hello, hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, you sound good.
So you can hear me, right?
Can you say something again, Elena?
Hello, can you hear me? Welcome to the webinar. Sorry for the delay. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you, Elena.
No, Anna, you sure it's not Louisa, me speaking? I'm going to ask
Hello?
Elena just to say something again, please.
Hello, my name is Elena. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, you can hear me both. Okay, I'm not hearing Elena, so maybe I'm the one with the problem. Okay, perfect. So, oh, okay, lovely, perfect, excellent. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. In which case, I'm going to stop sharing. And Elena, if you would like to go ahead and share your screen.
Right, okay, so since there is some technical issues here, I will share my whole screen because I don't know any other way I have no time right now to change it. So one second, share application. Okay, do you see that? Okay, is everything fine? Okay, so today we're going to talk about community of inquiry and blended learning. And you see that digital integration is everywhere, but unfortunately, sometimes it does not work the way we would like it to. So since I'm now a little bit time, so the general idea here behind this webinar is that nowadays more and more non-traditional students seek credentials and certifications and degrees and join colleges and universities. National Center for Educational Statistics in United States defines non-traditional students as those who has several or one of 7 risk factors. Those factors are part-time attendance, full-time employment, delayed post-secondary enrollment, financial independence, having children, being a single parent, and not possessing a high school diploma. So that's why institutions around the world are looking for innovative ways to engage with the learners and to meet their diverse needs. And blended learning is the answer to this challenge. I have a couple questions to ask you. So this is, let's see, the first one. So have you designed and taught blended or hybrid course? You might click to. Okay, I see that many of you have, right? So that's the responses. Good. And I have the second question about community of inquiry framework. Are you familiar with that or not? Okay, it seems that some of you have heard about it, some of you haven't. Okay, so again, I'm the only person here, so I'm going to switch to PowerPoint now, and then we'll, I guess, have about 10 minutes at the end of the webinar to answer and ask questions through the chat area. So the questions, some of you did design blended courses, some of you haven't yet, and a couple people are familiar with the community of inquiry framework. So today we're going to talk about innovation in the definition of it, about blended learning, the definition and models and benefits of such mode of teaching, and then community of inquiry, also about main ideas. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you will have some ideas about blended learning, community of inquiry framework, and how you might incorporate these into your teaching and learning practices. We'll skip that question about innovative practice I wanted to ask you, but we'll skip that due to time constraints. We'll maybe get back to this at the end if we have time. Okay, so when we talk about innovation, Horizon Report, Higher Education Edition, every year presents trends, 6 important developments in educational technology. And for several years in a row, the advancing cultures of innovation has been a key trend. Organization for Education for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, has run a project, multi-international project, and Canada was part of that project for more than 10 years. And based on that project, they define innovation, as you see here, as fresh ways of meeting challenges and to experiment with different ideas. And when we talk about innovation and educational innovation specifically, so we need to think about teaching and learning and practice, and also we need to and the parents, community, and culture in general. So this is a YouTube video, and this is one part of that video. So it was a conference on competency-based education, educational policy, and global education. And you see here the innovative trends around the world, which are used in different innovative school models. So all of them are learners centered. So they think about students' needs and interests and passion and how they can build their path in their education. Also, they think about interdisciplinary approaches to education and, again, different innovative ways to approach the challenges. Here are the 7 principles, which OECD principles to design innovative learning environments, which OECD suggested. I'm just going to see. Hear me now? Okay, so then, I mean, something probably, there is some technical issues might be. Okay, then, hello? Hello, hello? Can you hear me now? Okay, then, so these are the 7 principles. These are the 7 principles to create and design innovative learning environments. And you see that they are learner-centered. They talk about engagements and emotions, trying to incorporate individual differences. So OECD suggested these 7 principles and use them in 3 areas of innovation. So those 3 areas are pedagogical core, learning leadership, and partnership. All these principles all together, they see them as fundamental to all learning settings. In order to apply them to our courses, it might be too much altogether. So what they suggest in their handbook, and this handbook in the resources is in this presentation at the end. So try to start from one or two math principles and then incorporate the rest. And you see here they talk about horizontal connectedness. So it's about connecting ideas within your course, within the programs. So for students to have meaningful learning experiences. Blended learning. So what is blended learning? We understand it as a mix of traditional classroom teaching with online learning. But it's not just adding technology to what we do in face-to-face courses, but it's to make sure that we those modes of teaching and learning. Sometimes we use word hybrid instead of blended learning with the same meaning. Blended learning provides more access and flexibility. It also enhances teaching and learning, and also it transforms the way individuals learn. There are many ways why we use blended approach to teaching. So you see here the some ways or the most common reasons to use blended learning. So blended learning is looked favorably upon because it allows to mix or to take advantages of both face-to-face and technology-mediated activities. Though again, we need to make sure that we mix those activities effectively. Design is the key. Otherwise, it will be not a good idea, not a good course, not a good design for our learners. So there is a challenge for effective integration technology into the courses. Also, research found that students prefer blended learning to fully online or to fully face-to-face classes because it enhances engagement, gives students some time and flexibility to work on the material and concepts, to think maybe more about the concepts. If we talk about models of blended learning, how we design our courses, we can say that there are many thousands models of blended learning, or can be thousands, because there is no one perfect blend, and we need to think about many factors when we design blended courses. We need to think about our learners, about their needs, about subject matter, about technology available, about available professional development support and support for teachers, and other factors might be as well. But all models of blended learning are based on the general definition of blended learning. There are different models for K-12 education, and there are different models for higher education. You see here that these are three models which is suggested in the handbook on blended learning for higher education. So the first one is blended presentation. Mostly it's about classroom engagement plus support of that classroom engagement with online materials. Flipped classroom can be an example of that. So students have materials, readings or videos or other maybe self-assessment exercises posted online on learning management system, and then when they come to class, they can online or do like higher level activities than just reading, maybe comprehension and evaluation of the material. The second one is a blended block model. So in this model, and in flipped classroom, students do meet every week. In blended block model, students can meet, if we have, let's say, 15-week semester, they can meet a couple weeks face-to-face, and the other weeks they can have online activities, online modules. or students can meet every other week face-to-face, and then every other week they have online weeks to work on the material. So this is actually gives you flexibility based on, again, the needs of the students and teacher preferences and other factors. And the third model here, again, it's fully online, though it might be called blended, like maybe synchronous lectures in a certain time and day of the week, or maybe webinars to discuss the main course concepts. I'm just going to check briefly on what's going on in the chat area. So it looks like you can hear me and see well. So let's then move on. And right now we'll talk about community of inquiry theoretical framework. So this theoretical framework was first suggested in 2000. Canada. And since that, this first article on community of inquiry was cited in educational literature more than or about 5,000 times. And again, since that, this community of inquiry theoretical framework was widely researched, and there is many publications on that. So if you go to Google Scholar and you enter community of inquiry, you will see hundreds, maybe thousands articles on how we apply this framework to different subjects, or college maybe, or in corporate training as well. So again, it's very widely researched theoretical framework, and people think that it works. So this is, you see, it's called community of inquiry. So it's about learning as collaborative exercise, and it's about inquiry. So teaching subject matter maybe as inquiry. So because it originally was developed to technology-enabled learning. But personally, I found this framework useful. Even if you do not agree with constructivist approach, it still might be useful and helpful to design, redesign, or at least think about the aspects of it in any course, and actually in any mode of the course. Can be blended, can be online completely, or can be face-to-face. So you see here that it consists of three main elements: social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. And all three together, they support guided inquiry and meaningful learning in the courses. Let's have a look on these presences in a little bit of details. So teaching presence, you see here it's important that it's not teacher, but it reflects the shared roles and responsibilities of teacher and students and learners in the course. So it might be challenging to make sure that students share responsibility in what they do and what they learn, because it might go to, or it might come to self-regulation issues. And based on my experience, students do have those issues when it comes to blended. Probably it might be rewarding at the end if we try to make sure that they help each other to learn the material. And we do that. I think we do that in face-to-face, let's say, classes when students do small group work. So they help each other with the material. And the function of teaching presence is to bring the elements of community of inquiry together in a balanced and functional relationship. You see here the main categories of this teaching presence. Organization is really important when we think and design blended courses. It takes a lot of time and effort and thinking about how we should what activities we should put in face-to-face sessions and what we should put in learning management system to make them meaningful and connected to each other, so there is no separation and students feel that there is a logical continuation of these activities in face-to-face and in online section of the course or online weeks of the course. Facilitation and direct instruction, and that's what the what teachers do during the process of implementation blended course, and it's also important parts of teaching presence. So the next one is social presence, and social presence is about belonging to a community, feel that they belong there, so they can trust and openly communicate with the teacher and other students in the course. Again, it might be easier to create in face-to-face classes when there is a teacher-student interaction or student-student interaction. It's a face-to-face communication. It's spontaneous. Students can ask questions. They can read language. And that's what most people understand. And students also understand as social presence. Again, excuse me, I'll just check. Good, what is on the chat, since that's the way it works. Oh, sorry for that. Social presence. Now, when we talk about social presence in online courses or in online part of a blended course, it's again, from my experience, it's a little bit of challenge, and that's what students reported as well. So when it's an online part, when they are in online environment, it's again, it might be a challenge to create this social presence, but we need to try. Most of the time, people report that lack of visual cues during communication, and it's verbal communication, it's a text communication. And from my personal experience, students, when they do online discussions, they design their posts as their text messages to a friend. And it's difficult to understand. Sometimes I don't, and I teach them and I explain to them and I show by example how they should post the messages, how they should properly format it, and they learn at the end of the course. They are much better compared to what they started. So social presence, again, it's important here. So how we express our emotions and how we communicate. Again, it might be a challenge from my experience, but I think, again, it's worthwhile working on it. The next component is cognitive presence. What's important here that when we talk about these three components of community, all of them are interrelated and all of them support the other two. So if teaching presence is well created and social presence is well created, then cognitive presence will benefit from that and will be supported by those two presences. Cognitive presence is about subject matter, is about the issues and questions and concepts students learn throughout the course. Because it's community of inquiry, so the word community is important here, so they should learn and work on that collaboratively, help each other with the questions or ask questions to challenge ideas of each other. And because it's about inquiry, so this framework is based on practical inquiry model, which is also widely used in education. So it's about critical thinking, developing critical thinking, and it's about scientific inquiry. And you see here that there are 4 phases of this practical inquiry model. Again, it's about community of inquiry framework to develop blended courses or online courses, but I find it's useful to any to apply to any course we teach, because we might use, and I think we do use it, triggering event here. It's like an icebreaker to find something interesting, maybe a short video or a question for students to promote interest topic which we're going to do in class, or maybe in the whole course. Exploration, in this phase, students explore the ideas, maybe talk to one another, read something, do maybe some activities. Integration phase, where they apply what they learned to a real situation, maybe a case study or another assignment. And the last step here is resolution. We need to make sure that students have all their questions answered about the concepts they do in class. Again, these are 4 phases. This does not mean that we need to go through all these 4 phases in one class. It might be done throughout the module maybe, or even throughout the course, because all 4 in one class might be too much and challenging for students and teacher as well. So we need to have time here to think and reflect. Students also need time to think and reflect on the concepts of the course. And now there is a question for you. Since now you're familiar with these 3 presences, which one do you think will be the most challenging to create in blended courses, and why? Maybe there's a couple answers in the chat area and I'm looking into them. Okay, so I'm waiting for the responses. So I see here that John said that a good blended course flows nicely between face-to-face and online components. Also, John says that he would say that the social presence might be the most challenging. Possible as well. So let's see, maybe a couple more response here. And also think that social presence might be the most challenging to achieve online. And one suggestion can be, so they have visual cues, and that's, I think, a good idea. We might use video conferences. I don't see any answers coming here. So from my personal experience is that social presence might be the most challenging. Last year, I researched blended courses on general education blended courses. I work in the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and I teach general education science courses. So I worked on them last year, and I had face-to-face class and blended class, physics instrument, which I show you. And for blended courses, social presence was a little bit lower than for face-to-face section, which might be understandable, but more challenging to create. This is some suggestions how to facilitate social presence in online courses in an online environment. So they suggest to acknowledge participation, to encourage students, to support them, to show them our personal preferences, our enthusiasm for the subject, which helps as well to create social presence. Also have some rules on how often students should log into the course, and try to again encourage participation from those students who might maybe not so willing to do that. Okay, I see that we have about 15 minutes. I would like to share with you that you see in March, it's a free course which is designed by Athabasca University, and it will be supported by the guidebook on blended learning. So the course itself is a completely online course, and it is designed by using or incorporating this community of inquiry framework. So by taking this course, you will learn more about what is community of inquiry framework, but also you will learn inquiry framework, and also you will get the knowledge of blended learning practices, which is always good. And it's again, it's a free one, and it's about maybe usually they say about 3-4 hours per week, and for 4 weeks. I think that's an interesting idea. We might check this out. So here are the resources. I think we can then share the presentation. Guide to blended learning, which is the second one, is useful, which helps you to design and think more about blended learning courses. And then OECD handbook for innovative learning environments is also a pretty useful resource to just think about ways you can innovate with your courses. They also have some tips and suggestions on that, so it's a very good reading as well. I would like maybe to spend a couple minutes just to show you these community Athabasca University, and again, it is the most widely used instrument to measure the effectiveness of community of inquiry in different courses throughout the world. It consists of 40 questions. These 40 questions can be asked at the end of the course to measure the effectiveness of the model, but these questions can guide you in creating the courses as well. And again, I personally find this interesting and important. Doesn't matter whether or not I do blend online or face-to-face course, and whether or not I use community of inquiry framework to guide me, because these questions are, to my understanding, just about quality teaching. So you see here that the first one, here we see teaching presence, and the first design and organization. So it's important to clearly communicate the topics and goals and instructions on how to participate in activities and the time and due dates. Nothing completely new, which we, in terms of facilitation, again, we need to make sure that instructor facilitate the activities, help to engage participants, encourage exploration of the course concepts, and help again to develop some sense of community among course participants. Direct instruction, again, sometimes, even though it's about constructivist approach to learning and teaching this framework, but it still requires sometimes direct instruction. So we need to direct our students and help them and provide feedback on what they do in. It's really important if it is provided in a timely manner to improve students' learning and improve outcomes. Again, so these are the questions which will be asked to students to rate them at the end of the course, but these are the points which we might think of when we design or redesign our courses. So students should feel or should have a sense of belonging. They should communicate with other students. And again, should appreciate, or we try to appreciate, the way we use technology in the course for communication as well, and to teach them actually to communicate properly in the using technology, which they need the teaching for that. They do not do naturally. Again, so I teach general education courses, and liberal arts is about, and general education is about not only learning the subject matter, but also some soft skills, how they call it. So communication is really important skill in any profession, in any job. Maybe let's have a look on some cognitive presence again. So this again, the questions to think about when we facilitate and create cognitive presence. So we should the subject matter that we do. Okay, so I think maybe we'll leave some time for questions and discussions. Any questions that you might want to explore? Okay, so a couple people are typing here. Oh, that's okay. So thank you very much for finding the time to join the webinar.
And I want to say thank you, Elena, for your engaging and thought-provoking session. And I wanted to mention to everybody that our next webinar takes place on March 2nd, and this is our French webinar. It's called Public Postage. So you can sign up for that on our EdTech Ontario website. And once again, that website is in the chat box, probably further up. Also, the session after that will be March 11th, and it will be PowerPoint as a design tool for learning. So that's March 11th from 12 to 1. Lastly, I just wanted to quickly plug our Advancing Learning Conference, which takes place in May. So make sure that you book the time between May 12th and 14th. Seneca will be hosting this year, and the Advancing Learning Conference is always well attended and actually quite a great conference to attend. A lot of value for your money, and also great opportunity to meet other peers. So I want to thank everyone for attending today. My apologies that we had difficulty at the beginning with audio, but glad we were able to turn it around. We did record this session as well, and we'll be posting it on the EdTech Ontario website. So again, I'll share that link. So edtechontario.ca. So thank you, everybody, and we hope to see you again for our next webinar session. So Preeti, you're asking, can we also have access to the slides? I certainly think that shouldn't be a problem, but we will be sharing the video as well. So the video will be going through the slides. Would that be good enough? Is that helpful? Okay, perfect, great. So Preeti, if you go to the website, it will probably take, I would say about a week for the video to be posted on our website. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, and especially you, Elena. That was a great session. I'm looking forward to actually to that MOOC. So thank you for sharing that information as well. I hadn't realized that was happening, so great tip. Well, Elena, you're most welcome. And I was having difficulties with audio as well. I actually had to grab another laptop, so I had some weird things happening, and I'm just glad everyone could hear you in the end, Elena. But we made it happen, so good for you for persevering. And yes, thank you for sharing the link to the MOOC. That's wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording now.